when a 9-year-old boy with a bruise the shape of a belt buckle on his forearm walked up to a complete stranger in a McDonald's, grabbed his arm with both hands and said, "Don't let him take me back." The stranger happened to be a 260-pound retired Army MP with 22 years of military law enforcement experience and a very specific set of instincts for knowing when a child was telling the truth. The man sitting 3 booths away who stood up and said, "Let go of my son," he wasn't the boy's father. And the next 40 minutes inside that, McDonald's would turn a Wednesday lunch stop into a lockdown, a confrontation, and the moment a kid finally found someone who believed him. The McDonald's on Route 460 in Princeton, West Virginia sat at the edge of a shopping strip between a Family Dollar and a tire shop. It was the kind of McDonald's that served as a rest stop for truckers, a lunch spot for construction crews, and a playground destination for parents with kids who had too much energy and not enough yard. Wednesday afternoon, 12:30, the lunch rush just starting to thin out. Dane Prater was sitting in a booth by the window eating a quarter-pounder and checking his phone. He was 47 years old, 6 feet 2 inches, 260 pounds, with a thick brown beard going gray and arms that looked like they'd been lifting engine blocks since he was 16, because they had. He ran Prater's diesel out of Mercer County and rode as sergeant-at-arms for the Stone Ridge MC, a 14-member club spread across southern West Virginia. Before the shop and the bikes, he'd done 22 years as a military police investigator, retiring as a chief warrant officer. He'd worked child abuse cases on 3 different Army posts. He knew what fear looked like on a kid. He'd testified in court about it. He'd written reports about it. He'd lost sleep over it. Subscribe to Asphalt Angels and hit that notification bell, because this story starts with a boy grabbing a stranger's arm in a McDonald's and saying 5 words, and those 5 words are the reason you need to stay until the end. Dane was mid-bite when a boy appeared next to his booth. Just appeared. Hadn't seen him approach. Hadn't heard him. 1 second the booth was empty on that side. The next second there was a kid standing right there. The boy was maybe 9 years old, thin, dark hair that needed cutting, wearing a long-sleeve shirt in the middle of a warm October afternoon, which was the first thing Dane noticed, because kids don't wear long sleeves when it's 72 degrees unless they're covering something. The second thing he noticed was the boy's eyes, darting, scanning, checking the restaurant behind him every 2 seconds, like he was calculating how much time he had. The third thing he noticed was the bruise. The boy's right sleeve had ridden up when he reached for Dane's arm, and there it was, a bruise on the inner forearm, dark purple going yellow at the edges, and the shape was wrong. Not round like a ball hit him. Not long like he scraped a railing. It was rectangular with a small circle indentation, belt buckle. Dane had seen that exact bruise pattern in 6 different case files across his career. The boy grabbed Dane's forearm with both hands, small fingers gripping tight, and he said it. "Don't let him take me back." Dane put his burger down. "Take you back where?" "Home. Please. He's right there. He's in the bathroom. He'll come out in a minute. Please don't let him take me back." "Slow down, buddy. Who's in the bathroom?" "Craig. He's my mom's boyfriend. He told my mom he was taking me to get new shoes. We're not getting shoes. We drove past the shoe store 20 minutes ago. I don't know where he's taking me. He's been on the phone the whole time talking to someone about a handoff. And I don't know what that means, but I know it's bad." Dane's training kicked in like a switch flipping. "What's your name?" Levi Bragg. I'm 9. My mom's name is Heather. We live on Oakvale Road. Her number is 304921. Hold on, you memorized your mom's number. My mom made me memorize it when I was 6. She said if anything ever happens and you need help, you tell them my name is Heather Bragg, and here's my number. The boy's eyes shot to the bathroom hallway. He's going to come out, please. He hurts me when we're alone, and my mom doesn't believe me because Craig tells her I'm lying, and she believes him because Craig pays the rent. If this story has touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Asphalt Angels. Because this boy had 90 seconds before the bathroom door opened, and he spent those 90 seconds finding the biggest, strongest-looking person in the restaurant and betting his life on a stranger. Dane pulled the boy into the booth, sliding him to the inside against the wall. "Sit right here. Don't move. I'm not going anywhere." He'll be mad. He'll say I'm making it up. He always says I'm making it up. He's really good at it. He smiles, and he talks calm, and people believe him, because he sounds normal, and I sound scared, and scared sounds like lying when you're 9. That sentence hit Dane like a truck. Scared sounds like lying when you're 9. This kid had tried to tell someone before, maybe several someones, and they'd all believed the calm adult over the scared child. "Levi, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth. Has Craig hit you?" "Yes." "More than once?" "I stopped counting in June. It started in March. First time he grabbed my arm and squeezed until I couldn't feel my fingers. He said if I told my mom, he'd leave, and if he left, we'd lose the apartment. My mom can't afford the apartment alone. I know that because I hear her crying about money at night when she thinks I'm asleep. So I didn't tell her. And then it got worse." "Can you show me your arm?" Levi pushed up his left sleeve, belt buckle bruise on the inner forearm. Then he pushed up the right. Another one, older, more yellow. Then he lifted the back of his shirt. 3 long welts across his lower back, scabbed over, maybe a week old. Belt, not the buckle end, the leather end. Someone had taken a belt to this kid's back hard enough to break skin. Dane took a breath. 22 years of military CID work, and this still made his hands shake. "Levi, you're not going anywhere with him. I promise you that." "People have said that before." "Who?" "My teacher, last year. She said she was going to help. She called someone. Someone came to the house. Craig cleaned everything up and was nice, and the person left. And that night, Craig hit me with the phone charger cord because he said, I almost ruined everything. After that, I stopped telling teachers. The bathroom door opened. If you're watching this story, hit that hype button right now. It's free, takes 1 second, and helps these stories reach the people who need them. Now, back to the story. A man walked out. Mid-30s, medium build, wearing jeans and a polo shirt, and the kind of clean, put-together appearance that says, I am a normal person. I am not dangerous. I am someone you would trust with a child. He had a calm face, friendly eyes, the kind of man you'd sit next to at a Little League game and never think twice about. He scanned the restaurant and found Levi sitting in Dane's booth. His expression didn't change. No anger, no alarm. Just a smooth, easy adjustment. Hey, buddy, there you are? Walking toward the booth, casual, hands visible. Sorry about that, sir. He wanders off. You know how kids are. A smile at Dane. Warm. Practiced. He can stay right where he is, Dane said. Craig stopped. The smile held, but something behind the eyes recalculated. Excuse me? I said he can stay where he is. Craig's voice stayed pleasant. Sir, that's my girlfriend's son. We're on our way to get shoes. I appreciate you keeping an eye on him, but we need to get going. He reached for Levi's arm. Dane's hand came down on the table. Not a slam, just a placement. His massive hand flat on the surface between Craig and the boy. A wall. You're not touching him. The restaurant went quiet. The family 2 booths over stopped eating. The cashier looked up. A trucker at the counter turned on his stool. Craig's smile thinned. I don't know what he told you, but Levi has behavioral issues. He makes up stories. He's been in therapy for it. His mother and I are dealing with it. I really need to take him now. He has belt marks on his back. Silence. Craig's eyes went flat. The friendly mask cracked for 1 second, one flash of something cold and calculating, before the smile came back. He fell off his bike last week. Kids get banged up. You know how it is. Belt buckle bruises on both forearms and welts across his lower back aren't from falling off a bike. I spent 22 years investigating child abuse for the United States Army. I know exactly what those marks are from, and I know exactly what you are. Craig's mask dropped completely. The friendly neighbor disappeared. What was underneath was harder, sharper, meaner. Give me the kid, now, or this becomes a problem. It's already a problem. Sit down. Craig didn't sit. He looked at Levi. Levi, come on, we're leaving. Your mom's going to be worried. Levi pressed himself against the wall of the booth. No. Levi, now. No. The boy's voice cracked through the McDonald's like a gunshot. Every head turned. A mother with 2 kids at the next table pulled her children closer. The cashier reached for the phone. I'm not going with you. I'm not going. You hit me, and you hurt me, and my mom doesn't know because you're good at lying, and I'm tired of being scared, and I'm not going. 9 years old, screaming the truth in a McDonald's, because he'd learned that whispering it to teachers and counselors hadn't worked, and this was his last option. Say it loud enough that a room full of people couldn't pretend they didn't hear. If Asphalt Angels has become part of your week, consider joining the channel membership. Just a couple bucks a month keeps these stories coming. Links below. Now, back to the ending. Craig took a step back. The room was watching now. Witnesses everywhere. His calculation changed. This wasn't a private situation anymore. Dane already had his phone out. 911, what's your emergency? I'm at the McDonald's on Route 460 in Princeton. I've got a 9-year-old boy named Levi Bragg with visible injuries consistent with child abuse. Belt marks on his back, buckle bruises on both arms. A male named Craig is here, claims to be the mother's boyfriend. The boy says Craig has been physically abusing him, and the boy is refusing to leave with him. I need officers, and I need CPS. I'm a retired Army CID warrant officer. This is real. Sir, are you or the child in immediate danger? The male is still here. He's agitated. The child is with me, and I'm not releasing him. Units are being dispatched. Stay on the line. Craig heard the call. He looked at Dane. He looked at Levi. He looked at the door. And then he made the decision that guilty people always make. He ran. He turned and walked fast toward the exit, not running but moving with the speed of a man who knows that walking looks innocent and running looks guilty, but the difference doesn't matter when you're guilty. He hit the door, stepped into the parking lot, and started jogging toward a black pickup truck. Dane didn't chase him. He stayed with Levi, because the boy mattered more than the arrest, and a retired cop knew that a suspect's plates and vehicle description would do the work. Black Dodge Ram, extended cab, heading east on Route 460. Oh, Dane reported. He'd clocked the plate when Craig opened the door and the sunlight hit the truck. Old habit. Male subject fleeing the scene on foot, now in the vehicle. 2 Mercer County deputies arrived in 4 minutes. By then, Craig's truck was already on 460, but the description and plates were out. State police intercepted him 11 miles east, just past the Bluefield exit. He'd been doing 90 in a 55, running like a man who knew exactly what was waiting for him if he stopped. Back at the McDonald's, Levi was still in the booth, still pressed against the wall. When the deputies approached, the boy flinched, not because he was afraid of police, but because adults in authority had failed him before. The teacher who called CPS. The CPS worker who believed Craig's clean apartment and calm smile. Every adult who'd looked at a well-spoken man and a scared kid and picked the man. "Levi," Dane said quietly, "these officers are here for you, not for Craig, for you. They're going to listen to you. And this time it's going to be different." "How do you know?" "Because this time there's a room full of people who heard you, and I'm not leaving until your mom gets here." The deputy who took Levi's statement was a woman named Angie Doss. She'd worked juvenile cases for 8 years. She didn't interview Levi in the booth. She sat down at the play-place table, bought him a McFlurry, and let him talk at his own pace. Levi told her everything, the timeline starting in March, the escalation from grabbing to hitting to the belt, the CPS visit that went nowhere, the isolation tactics Craig used when Heather was at work, the phone call about a handoff that had scared Levi enough to run to a stranger. The handoff. That word. Detectives later found Craig's phone records showed conversations with an individual in Virginia who was under federal investigation. The handoff was exactly what Levi's gut told him it was. Craig was planning to hand Levi over. The shoes were never the destination. There was no destination that Levi was supposed to come back from. Heather Bragg arrived at the McDonald's at 2:15 p.m. She'd been called at work. She managed the front desk at a dental office in Bluefield. She'd driven 22 miles in 18 minutes. When she walked through the door, she was shaking. Her face was white. Her eyes were red, and she hadn't started crying yet. She was still in the phase before crying. The phase where the body is processing information so terrible that the tears haven't caught up to the understanding. She saw Levi sitting at the play-place table with the deputy and the McFlurry. He looked up, and his face did something that broke every person in that restaurant. He looked relieved, but also guilty, because he'd broken the rule. He'd said the thing Craig told him never to say. And even though he was safe, part of him was bracing for the consequences of telling the truth. "Mom, I'm sorry." Heather dropped to her knees in front of him. "Sorry? Baby, sorry for what?" "Craig said if I told anyone, you'd lose the apartment. He said you can't afford it alone. I know you can't. I hear you at night. I'm sorry. I didn't want you to lose the apartment, but he was taking me somewhere and I got scared. Levi, stop. Look at me." She took his face in both hands. "I don't care about the apartment. I don't care about the rent. I don't care about any of it. I care about you. Do you understand? You are the only thing in my entire life that matters. An apartment is walls. You are my son." The tears came then, from both of them. Heather pulled Levi off the chair and onto her lap, and held him on the floor of the McDonald's playplace while he sobbed into her shoulder and she sobbed into his hair, and the deputy stepped back, and Dane stood by the window and watched, and his hands were still shaking, because 22 years of case files hadn't made this part easier. It never got easier. "Who's the man at the window?" Heather asked the deputy later, still holding Levi. "That's Dane Prater. He's the one Levi asked for help. He's the one who stopped Craig from taking him." Heather walked over to Dane. Levi was on her hip, too big to be carried like that, but neither of them cared. "You believed him?" "Yes, ma'am." The teacher believed him. She called CPS. CPS came, and Craig put on his act, and they left, and I never knew. He told me the CPS visit was because a neighbor made a false report. I believed him. I believed him over my own son. What kind of mother? The kind that's here now, Dane said. The kind that drove 22 miles in 18 minutes. The kind that's holding him right now. That's the kind. She grabbed Dane's arm with her free hand and squeezed. She couldn't hug him because she wouldn't put Levi down, and Levi wouldn't let go, and that was exactly how it should be. So she held Dane's arm the way Levi had held it an hour ago, with both hands, tight, like it was the one solid thing in a world that had just caved in. "Thank you. Thank you for believing my son when I didn't." He made it easy. He was the bravest person in this restaurant today. Craig Dylan Saunders was arrested that evening on Route 19 after a state trooper boxed him against a guardrail. Charges included child abuse, assault of a minor, reckless endangerment, felony child endangerment, and conspiracy in connection with the federal investigation into the individual he'd been arranging the handoff with. The belt was found in his truck, brown leather, brass buckle, same dimensions as the bruises on Levi's arms. His phone records confirmed everything. The calm smile and the practiced explanations that had fooled a CPS caseworker and a teacher and a mother didn't work on people who had photographs of belt marks and a 9-year-old's testimony recorded on body camera in a McDonald's play place. Heather and Levi moved out of the apartment on Oakvale Road that weekend. Dane and 4 Stone Ridge members showed up with trucks and loaded everything Heather owned in 2 hours. They moved her into her sister's house in Bluefield. Heather stood in the empty apartment doorway one last time before they left. "I hate this place," she said. "It's just walls," Dane said. "You said it yourself." "I said that to Levi. I didn't know if I believed it." "Do you now?" She looked at Levi sitting on the tailgate of Dane's truck, eating a gas station sandwich, swinging his bare feet because he'd kicked his shoes off the second they'd finished loading. A kid being a kid, not hiding, not flinching, not covering his arms. "Yeah," she said. "I do now." The apartment that Craig paid for, the apartment that had been the leverage, the apartment that had kept a 9-year-old boy silent for 7 months. It sat empty. The locks didn't matter anymore. The rent didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was 2 miles down the road, eating a ham sandwich on a tailgate with no shoes on. The Stone Ridge MC started a program called Loud Enough. Named for the moment Levi screamed the truth in a McDonald's because whispering hadn't worked. The program partnered with schools and pediatricians across Mercer and McDowell counties, training adults to recognize when a child's behavioral issues might actually be a child trying to tell the truth in the only language they had. The program's card read, "When a child speaks, listen. When a child screams, believe." When Levi turned 12, he wrote Dane a letter. It said, "I think about that day a lot. Not the scary parts. The part where I walked up to you and you put your burger down. You put your burger down and you looked at me. That's when I knew. Because Craig never put anything down when I talked. He kept eating, kept watching TV, kept looking at his phone. You put your burger down. That's how I knew you were going to listen." Dane kept that letter in his vest pocket. He'd read it when the old case files came back at night, when the faces of kids he couldn't help crowded in. Because this one he helped. This one found him in a McDonald's and grabbed his arm and said 5 words, and he put his burger down and listened. When Levi was 16, he volunteered with the Loud Enough program. He stood in front of classrooms, middle schools mostly, kids who were the age he'd been when Craig was hurting him, and he told his story. Not the sanitized version, the real one. The version that said, "I was 9 and a man was hitting me with a belt, and I didn't tell my mom because he said she'd lose the apartment, and I believed him because I was 9. And when you're 9, you believe adults, even the ones who hurt you." He told them about the teacher who tried and the CPS visit that failed. He told them about the 7 months of silence. He told them about walking up to a stranger in a McDonald's and grabbing his arm because he'd run out of quiet options. "I tried whispering the truth for 7 months and nobody heard me," Levi said. "Then I screamed it in a McDonald's and everybody heard me. The difference between those two things saved my life. What if they still don't believe me? A girl in the front row asked. Find the biggest, scariest-looking person in the room and grab their arm, Levi said, smiling. That's what I did, and it worked. After one of his talks, a boy lingered by the door, 12 years old, wouldn't make eye contact. Finally said, "The thing you said about the belt, that happens to me too." Levi sat down with him, stayed with him until the school counselor arrived. The boy's name was Marcus. 3 weeks later, Marcus was safe, living with his grandmother, and the man who'd been hurting him was arrested. Levi called Dane that night. "It worked," Levi said. "What worked?" "Being loud enough. I was loud enough for Marcus. He heard me, and then he was loud enough too." Dane hung up the phone and sat in his truck in the dark for 10 minutes, because sometimes saving one kid turns into saving two, and saving two turns into a program that saves more. And the math of that is the only math that matters. Be the one who puts it down and listens. Thank you for watching this story. If it reminded you that children who make up stories might be telling the most important truth of their lives, please share it. Subscribe to Asphalt Angels for more stories proving that believing a scared child over a calm adult is sometimes the bravest thing you can do. Tell us in the comments, have you ever believed a child when nobody else would?